3 hours. Like, well, that.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Monday, June 20th, 2022 business meeting for the New Britain Township Board of Supervisors. The board met in executive session prior to this meeting to discuss personnel and land preservation. At this time, my first motion I'll be asking for this evening is a motion to promote patrol officer first class to corporal.
Need a motion for that.
Well, that's what you have here.
It's just-
Well, then,
The motion sheet
is the motion
It
for the
does
board
have-
to approve the promotion of Patrol Officer Michael Sant to the rank of corporal.
Well, I was looking for the motion and I was gonna let the chief. Yeah, I did have a method to my madness, but anyway, I'll take that motion. Is
I'll make that motion.
there a second?
I'll second.
All right, chief, I turn the floor over to you, sir.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, through the promotional process, we have recommended that Patrol Officer Michael Sant be promoted to the rank of corporal in order to fill a current vacancy. He is here today with many family and friends to observe his promotion.
Very good. Thank you, sir. So now the chief has made his little presentation. Does anybody have any questions, want to make any comments? All right, all those in favor of promoting Officer Michael Sant to the rank of corporal, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Motion carried. Congratulations. So now we do the formal, correct?
Judge Baum, come up along with Michael and his wife Sharon. Officer, I'm going to issue the oath of office to you as corporal. And would you repeat after me, please? I say your name.
I, Michael Sant,
Do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support, obey, and defend
that I will support, obey, and defend
the Constitution of the United States of America,
the Constitution of the United States of America,
the Constitution of the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania,
the Constitution of the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania,
and that I will enforce the laws
and I will enforce the laws
of this Commonwealth
of this Commonwealth
and the ordinances of New Britain Township,
and the ordinances of New Britain Township,
and that I will discharge my duties
and I will discharge my duties
of my office as corporal
of my office as corporal
for New Britain Township with honor and fidelity.
for New Britain Township with honor and fidelity.
I do further swear
I do further swear
that I will uphold, obey, and enforce
I will uphold, obey, and enforce
the law without consideration
the law without consideration
to a person's race, color, sex,
with a person's race, color, sex,
religious creed, sexual orientation,
religious creed, sexual orientation,
age, national origin,
age, national origin,
ancestry, handicap, or disability.
ancestry, handicap, or disability.
Very good, sir. I congratulate you.
Thank you.
Corporal Sant, we need to do a picture.
I was gonna say, a picture with a chair person.
No, everyone, come on,
Okay.
everyone down for a photo. All for one, one for all. You guys want to come on this side?
Thank you, Matt. Thank you. Especially if you- Thanks so much. Thank you.
Charlie.
So squeeze in.
Charlie.
Oh, I thought of you.
Sure.
Oh, sure. Like they did again. Thank you.
Oh, here, look at it. Very good.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Counselor, can I just say, hello there, Mr. Ferguson? For me? Yeah.
You declare.
Yeah.
You don't work in Perks for 15 years without knowing Charlie Ball.
Yeah.
Oh, it can't forget. It's so.
I threw it away.
So now they close the,
Thanks again.
thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good night, all.
There you go.
He's now a ranger.
There goes our whole audience. There goes our whole audience.
I know.
Yeah.
There's a lot of them.
Yeah.
It'll come to you when I try not, when I'm not trying.
That one guy just was Mike Glenn.
I was just going to, yeah, say that.
That one guy. That's her coach shirt.
Oh, yeah.
Gladys or something.
Yeah, no, Scott Michaelitis. Yeah, yeah, yeah. All right, are we ready? All right. All right, so now we will go to public comment. Public comment is intended for any item that is not on the agenda currently. There will be a chance if there's any comment made or needed to be made for any of the action items at that particular time. So at this time, is there any public comment on any non-agenda or action items? Go ahead. Go ahead and stand if you'd give your name and address, please.
My name is Carol Cherry. I reside at 85 West Peace Valley Road, Beach South Point. I'd like to thank the board for allowing me the opportunity to discuss something we all know and love, and that is stormwater drain management. It's been evident for decades, the lack of any plan regarding stormwater on Peace Valley Road. Just a bit of history. Way back, Peace Valley, East and West Peace Valley Road were joined by a bridge, and that bridge washed out. So we now have East Peace Valley, West Peace Valley, and I'm down at the bottom of West Peace Valley. So I've been a resident in my home for 30 years, and this has been an issue since I moved in. Not to the degree it is now, but it still is an issue. As I mentioned, it's been evident for decades. Lack of a plan goes back to roughly 1995. I found a letter that I had written to Mark Roberts, who was the superintendent of public works at the time. We discussed this. He came out. We had, going back and forth, and perhaps a year or so later, he did mitigate with riprap at to control the flow, which did have a positive effect coming down the road. However, after that, that was the last that anything was done from a maintenance standpoint, from any other involvement from the township. They did put a pipe in on my side of the road, however, it has absolutely no effect on the drainage system at all. It's just there. In fact, it doesn't even exit anywhere that any of us could find during some of the walkthroughs that I have been through with the township. In about 2019, Ryan from the Public Works Department and I walked the property again a few times and discussed the drainage. We discussed the debris in the ditch. We discussed obstructions and the fact that the closest inlet to the end of Peace Valley Road was roughly 800 feet uphill. So you can imagine the amount of water that's coming down. No action had been taken to maintain or modify this active public right-of-way. It is a public right-of-way. The snow is put there during the winter, so it is something that is active. The stormwater continues to discharge on my property. I access the entire back of my property from the bottom of Peace Valley Road. So if the situation that we have now we have some encroachment with some bamboo that's pushing the drainage ditch over more so onto my property, which means I can't get equipment or anything in the back of my property. So as a result of this unmaintained issue, I'm experiencing significant property damage and loss of use. The water's created severely eroded trenches in excess of 6 feet. So if you can envision, those ditches are over my head. When I walk down there, ground level is above my head. Children play, they come down Peace Valley Road, they park their bikes, they run in the woods, they go down to the creek. It's dangerous. It really is. It's also causing unusable acreage. That entire ditch area is roughly a quarter of my property. A quarter of the 2.38 acres is unusable. Some of the limited use to my property after a storm, when the water comes down the road, I have a flat area and it's like a pond. The water's unable to flow. The adjoining property owner is lower than I am. However, it's been intentionally dammed, so there's no flow. The water just sits there. It can sit there for a week and a half to 2 weeks. So, you can imagine we have mosquitoes, we have everything, and I cannot mow the back of my property after a large storm. I did touch a little bit on the bamboo issue with encroachment, but in reading ordinance 2014-06-03, Article 1 of the bamboo ordinance, there are 3 other violations. I did also file something with Public Works. I will have them, and apparently they are going to come out if they haven't already to take a look at this. Regulation number 2, pre-existing bamboo and also removal of bamboo on township property. Item number 1 are the 3 issues, the 3 violations, in my opinion. So in conclusion, this isn't your neighbor dispute, but a plea for action, an action that needs to have some type of solution. I'm asking to set up a convenient time to meet with township officials and perhaps the engineer on site. I feel that it's important to meet on site so you can actually view the damage that's actually occurred. Your cooperation to reduce the tremendous negative impact to my property would greatly be appreciated, and I thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Can I ask you a question?
Yes.
You said the bamboo, it's not on your neighbor's property. You believe it's on township property?
No, it's not. It's on the neighbor's property that is encroaching into the right of way, which is then pushing the moment that the water exits the pipe that's under the driveway, his driveway, it is then being pushed onto my property.
And the pipe, I don't even know the name of the person you mentioned as being head of Public Works. Has anyone ever tried to put a camera through that to see where the pipe goes?
I don't know. I really don't know. I can't, well, the person I met with is Ron.
Yeah.
Yes, he's our current supervisor of Public Works,
Yeah, no,
but I meant
it probably took, I think it probably was put in prior to his taking over the department.
okay. So you have several problems there. Stormwater, we have stormwater problems, and it's just getting worse with more and more building coming, the water running down. But that doesn't, if the water's coming down the right of way, then we need to take a look at that to see if there's something that can be done. And I'm going to leave that up to manager and engineer to take care of those technical problems. But I'd be happy to come out and take a look also. You said you're 85 West Peace Valley?
Yes, I am.
Okay.
Yeah, I'd be happy to show you.
And it's complicated too, because it also includes Chalfont Borough. And it's right on the border. The West Peace Valley Road is the border with Chalfont Borough.
That's
So-
correct. So half of the road is Chalfont
Right.
Borough, half is New Britain Township. However, the last several homes are New Britain Township.
Yeah,
at the
yeah,
bottom.
right.
Right.
And so I guess the idea that I wanted to talk about was that, water knows no political boundaries. Right, herein lies the challenge with stormwater management.
Yeah.
And so I really appreciate you coming out and talking to us about that. We take it seriously. Stormwater management is a complicated issue. And, we have really good relationships with Chalfont Borough. And so I'd like to include them in on this also. 'Cause it's not just, you can't just say, hey, this is ours, that's yours.
Right, and it actually emanates from Chalfont Borough. So, yeah, but
Thank you.
I appreciate you.
Not gonna say we're gonna have an easy fix all, this is the magic solution, but let's start talking about it.
Does the creek back up on your property?
Yes.
Yes, it does.
You're right along the north branch of the Chamonix.
Are we?
You're right, you're the property adjacent to the north branch of the Chamonix Creek. Right?
I am, it's
It's woods and then
it's
the creek.
perpendicular to my property.
Yeah, there's nothing in it, there's no other property between the creek.
That's correct.
Does it flood up on your property? When you say drainage, I'm trying to figure out this. There's runoff coming from Shell Pond, I did hear that, but is the creek itself impacting?
That's not an issue.
Oh,
No, the
okay.
creek is fine.
Okay.
Mhm.
So it's probably stormwater coming
Well, the
from
creek was
up-
coming up from
down the
property,
road.
uphill from the chow pond side.
Yeah, that's
That's
not
not
an
an
issue.
issue.
Well, yeah,
No.
this is
Downhill.
This
Yeah.
is New Britain Township. This is New Britain Township. So it's like,
No, but this property
This
runs
is-
this way.
Most of the street is
so
shelf.
which
It's
was
Shop
the
on, yeah.
property that you said had the bamboo?
Uh,
83 or 96?
96.
96.
Across the street.
And hopefully that is being addressed.
Mhm.
But yes, it's a factor.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you very much. Wonderful modern technology. We can
Yeah.
all look at maps and see exactly what you're talking about as you're talking. So
We're not looking at our phones for fun. It's,
Yeah.
we're looking at maps.
we're able to see where the creek is, the maps,
Actually,
what you're
yeah.
talking about.
Satellite images, not just
Yeah.
maps.
Yeah, so
Okay.
it helps us figure out what's going on.
Elevation change,
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's,
it's going all the way down.
yeah, it kind of starts up towards the ball fields and then cuts
Just
down
cuts
to
down.
your corner.
Yeah, I do have pictures with me if you just like to take, a look at the actual, the ditch that I mentioned.
Sure.
I know it's a bit out of perspective, I guess, unless you see the whole thing. I do have that if you'd like to pass
If,
one.
if you'd like to give them to staff, that'd be fine. Yeah.
You have them scanned,
No, I don't, but I can.
would
yeah.
you mind? That would be really helpful.
Yeah,
Actually, I do it with a PDF. Yeah. I'll
Yeah.
do it.
Perfect.
Yeah, that'd be
You just
great.
Email
Yeah,
them? Be great.
okay.
I'm just waiting. I'm just seeing if he has.
Yeah. Yes. I was gonna say, there's a survey rod that shows the depth too.
Oh, okay.
That's in the photo.
Gotcha. All right, perfect. All right, thank you very much.
We will definitely address that, look into it, see what we can do.
Okay, I appreciate that.
All right, thank you very much. All right, next item on, is there any other public comment? Any public comment online? No? Do we have anybody watching this evening? There's no one watching this evening. No, it's just so nice to be loved. All right.
So complain.
Technically, you're watching.
You want to clone?
Yeah, all right, so at this time, we'll be moving on to our action items section of our agenda. So I will start off with our first motion. And I've got to cycle through here. All right, at this time, I will take a motion to approve the minutes of our May 16th and June 6th business meeting and workshop. So
I'll make a motion.
I'll
is there a
second.
second? I have a first and a second. Are there any comments, questions, or amendments?
No.
No, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carried.
So on the iPads, I was wondering, is the bookmarks panel populating?
No. No, because again, it's in SharePoint. It's not in a PDF reader. We're looking at a live file.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, and I
I'll
can't
make that
download.
update because Mike
Oh,
actually goes
there it
through and
is.
puts bookmarks in. I
Gotcha.
should be able to just tap on something and jump you right there. So, okay,
No.
thank you.
Yep. What?
If you download it, it works.
Yes, but I'd have to do it through, yeah, I mean, that's,
And then
it's a
you just-
redundancy. All right, next item, next motion I'll be looking for is a motion to approve the schedule of bills dated May 27th, 2022 medical reimbursements and June 13th, 2022 in the amount of $258,569.49 and to authorize the township manager to pay all bills per the attachment.
Motion to approve.
Is there a second?
Second.
Was there any comments or questions in regards to the bills list? Sensing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carried. All right. Next motion I will be looking for this evening is a motion for the board to approve all items on the consent agenda dated June 20th, 2022 per the attachment.
I'll make that motion.
Is there a second?
Second.
All right, is there any comments or questions in regards to the consent agenda?
I do have a comment.
Okey doke.
I would request that, if possible, that on each one of the consent agendas, we give an idea of what is being asked for. No, it's not just the parcel number and the location. But what are they actually requesting as part of this? In other words, is it going to be for a home or is it going to be for an addition?
Right here.
Okay,
No, it doesn't.
doesn't tell you.
Doesn't tell you. anything
Oh,
else on
okay.
there.
Do you want more detail, like detail added to that?
Yes, I'd just like to know what it is. Is it a house or is it just an addition or is it a pool or just something? So I have an idea of what we're,
Make that work.
because when you get into the actual document, it doesn't tell you either.
Yeah, yeah,
It gives you 7 pages of stuff, but
right.
We can make that work.
Very good. That doesn't necessarily affect the emotion, so I don't need to
Correct.
amend. All those in favor of passing the motion, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carried. Give me a second. I have to find the next motion.
You download it and open an Acrobat. the
Well, I would
bookmarks are
have to
there.
go back to the email to do that. I don't want to do, should just be right off of the SharePoint.
It's just a lot of pages. You gotta go till you find the blue one
There
there.
we go. I also did make a recommendation that hopefully we can move forward with. All right. The next motion I'm looking for from the board is a motion to adopt resolution 2022-11, 180 New Britain Boulevard, preliminary final approval per the attachments.
I'll make that motion.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
All right, I have a first and a second. Matt?
Thank you. We have representatives from the applicant in the audience today with us this evening. This was something that was before the board. is it May, was it, or April? April. And we've been deliberate in talking about the responses and requests from the board, from the applicant. And we're pleased to say that we have a draft resolution that we forwarded to the board late last week. Just want to thank the solicitor and the applicant's attorney for working on that. And we'll defer any technical details of the resolution to the township solicitor.
There was, from the copy you received late last week, there was one minor change that was added today. That being on page, the first page, the second paragraph, numbered number 2. That paragraph now reads, and I quote, applicant shall comply with all recommendations of the Bucks County Planning Commission review letter dated February 16, 2022, except to the extent it recommends that the applicant study 2 additional intersections. A true and correct copy of this letter is attached here too and incorporated herein as Exhibit B. What was added is the except to the extent that it recommends the applicant study 2 additional intersections. That was discussed and negotiated with counsel for the applicant. Everything else remains verbatim from what you reviewed on Friday.
All right, very good. Is there any comments and questions from the board? Would the applicant like to make any statements? Are we good?
We totally fine with the resolution and we look forward to your vote approving it.
All right. Do we have any public comment? Sensing none. All right. We have a motion before us. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carried. Thank you very much.
Thank you all very much.
Ms. Pianzio, may I inquire, does the applicant accept the conditions as written in the resolution?
Yes, and is there something that you want signed? It did say something about signing some form within 30 days. We could do that right now if you have.
We'll
something.
follow up with you on it today.
All right, great. No problem. Thank you.
All right, on to the next motion. I will now be taking a motion for the board to adopt resolution 2022-12, records dissolution for the attachments. Is there a motion?
I'll move.
Is there a second?
Second.
All right, I have a first and a second. Is there any comments or questions regarding the records dissolution resolution?
What records are we disposing of?
So included in the resolution are 3 sets of records, payroll records older than 4 years old and those less than 4 years old that have been digitized. Land development plans, records, et cetera, that are no longer administratively relevant. And all bids, including successful bids older than 6 years old and unsuccessful bids older than 3 years old. So we adhere to the Pennsylvania Municipal Records Retention Act. And before we can dispose of any records, we have to go through and make sure that it hits and meets all of the criteria included in that act. And this is a function of that, in that Mike has gone through that process and identified if you really are having problems with insomnia, I will forward you the link to the Pennsylvania Municipal Records Retention Act. It's like that thick, even digitally. And you have, like, if you find one record, you have to go and find that specific record and see what the statute of limitations is. And you identify it, put it into larger buckets, and then the board has to pass that. So this is our paper trail that we're creating to say that, yes, as staff have gone through and made sure that it adheres to that act and that the board is aware of it and move forward with it.
Will we be losing any file cabinets?
Yeah, it's not going to have a significant impact at this time. To be continued.
And
That's
this,
coming fast and furious.
yeah. And this will still be needed to be done even though we're digitizing stuff,
Yes,
because then you can just,
because we still receive paper things. We
Mhm.
receive paper applications. And so moving forward, we're going to be accepting digital submissions to applications. So we'll always have a digital record of every permit that's applied for from this point onward, even when we get rid of the paper. What was interesting in about a year and a half ago, the state legislature passed an update to this act that now allows us to keep permanent digital records of all things. That was a big change, because prior to that amendment, I think it was in 2019, it was gray. It was, I've had multiple solicitors say, well, so long as you can replicate it in its original format, but nobody would say, yes, you can delete that or, destroy that. Now they allow you to keep those records permanently in a digital format. There are specific resolution requirements and file formats that you have to adhere to, but it's a really big step in the right direction for us. Looking forward to continuing to digitize the remaining records in the room over there.
yeah.
Part of the ongoing adoption of all that process is that courts are becoming more like to admit copies and digital copies of things rather than originals with original signatures. So as the courts move on from, no, I need something with wet ink on it, to, okay, this is good enough and admissible, we'll find more and more opportunity to dispose of written documents.
And then how does that cascade into our technology? Do we then start needing to have server rooms and places? Do we need to have it not on the cloud? Do we need to have it in places where we can access it that is not attacked by viruses and stuff? Yeah, knock on wood.
It's a very good question, and that's often where I go. That's often where I migrate. Storage is always cheap. I don't care about the file size resolution that we save it at, because we can always get cheap storage. Where we decide to store it, cloud versus in-house, that's a conversation that we and the board should authorize, adopting a policy saying specific types of records should be saved on a server in a room here, or these files are okay saving to the cloud. And we should come up with that.
It's probably not prohibitively expensive to do both.
Or both? I was just gonna
Yeah,
say.
I would rather the
Back up to the
I
redundancy.
Yeah,
That can be done.
I have a quadruple redundancy of my files and things, yeah, so.
And so my assistant manager, Mr. Walsh, reminded me here, he wrote down facilities. Remember
Yep.
phase one when I was preaching the gospel 2 weeks ago? Remember that?
Mhm.
About facilities and that's how it's connected, it's interconnected, and to be continued.
Okay. That's one of those things we need to flag.
One of the issues with digital file storage is over redundancy, because you'd be amazed how many copies you keep. You'll have 2 in your email, you'll have 1 on a server, you'll have another one that you saved somewhere else, and eventually you'll have 6 copies of the same document, wasting space.
Yeah, not to nerd out a little bit, but I'm going to, I took the bait. When COVID hit, we had a problem here with staff and the board trying to access our network via a VPN. And so a copy of the server was created on SharePoint. So now we have copies of things that exist both on our server and in SharePoint. And so, right, facilities, once again, facilities. We need to continue to go down this path of what is the best way that we set up our digital footprint and how we all interact with it. To be continued once again.
Did we vote on
No, we have not. Was there any other comments or questions? Always get the last one in there. All right, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carried. Oh, there's so much work to do. Next motion on the agenda is, I'm looking for a motion for the board to approve the waiver request for 409 West Butler Avenue per the attachments.
Motion to approve.
Is there a second?
it? Second.
Do you want me to turn this over to Craig or you?
I can do it.
Okay.
It's pretty simple. It was before the board 2 weeks ago. It has to do with two lighting issues, one on the lighting of the private trail at the rear of the property, and also the number of lights in the back of the property. So both waivers were before the board 2 weeks ago. The applicant was here. I don't know if you have any other further questions or concerns about both of those recommendations that both the engineer, solicitor, staff recommend.
Pictures are always helpful. No further comments.
Okay, doke. Any other comments, questions from the board?
I'll just note that the waiver that's being considered is also, the way it operates is it's an amendment of the previous preliminary final approval that the board authorized.
Okay. Is there any other questions now that he's made that comment?
Yes.
I saw the hand move.
Do we need to amend our settlement agreement?
No,
Okay.
no, okay. The amendment to the preliminary final approval is just how we effectuate the resolution that they're considering.
Okay. Very good. All right. I have first and second. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carried. Don't go.
We're not throwing you.
They want to read,
Thank you for coming.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I'm sure my daughter will be back again.
All right. Thank you.
She's looking forward to seeing some of you or all of you on site.
Very good. All right. Have a great evening. Thanks for coming out.
Thank you.
they're going to read the records retention wall. They thought that would be.
All right, motion G. I'll now take a motion for the board to cancel the July 25th and August 1st Board of Supervisors meetings.
I'll make that motion.
Is there a second?
Second.
All right, is there any comments or questions? I have a comment to Mr. West. We have to readjust our pre-meeting schedule to line up with the new schedule as well. It's Bill's turn
Oh,
next.
breakfast, yes,
Yes,
okay.
and then Mary Beth. So we have to look at all that.
Got 3 meetings, pre-meetings.
Yeah.
Which pre-meeting? are we? Okay, we'll do.
All right. So I have a first and a second. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carried. All right, motion H. I will now take a motion for the board to approve the Parks and Recreation Commission recommendation for food and beverages at the July 4th parade per the attachments.
I'll make the motion.
Is there a second?
Second.
Mr. West?
Yeah. If you remember 2 weeks ago, the Parks and Rec Board and Shel Clancy provided a memo to the board recommending no food and beverage at the conclusion of the parade. It's a big change from, not a big change from last year. We didn't have it last year, but pre-COVID. And it also recommends that we have refreshments at the beginning of the parade, which we did last year, and it worked really well. So we're looking at Philly soft pretzels, and I
Water.
still think they're looking at,
Still no.
milk, I think.
What?
I'm just going to make the comment that I hope all goes well, because we're giving a lot of children milk, and July 4th is usually in the 90s. with high So I'm wondering how that all is going to work out, but we'll find out.
Well, it's not compensatory, so.
You make it a tradition, like the Indianapolis 500, you drink the milk.
That's right. Right.
Chocolate milk and pretzels. Interesting.
The milk is being donated by.
Yeah.
Where is the Bucks County Dairy anyway?
Bucks County.
That's what we're hoping. I'm sorry, where's the?
Where are we now in the agenda?
I can't
I've
repeat
lost
that.
track.
I can't
You got a
repeat
motion
that.
and a second.
Now we just need to vote.
All right, I have a motion, a second. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carried. As soon as Sean mentioned throwing up in chow fun, I was like, done, let's move on.
You did not have to repeat that.
No, it's not.
That's fine. Nobody watches these. Next motion is motion I. At this time, I will take a motion for the board. I'm just plowing through for the board to waive the subdivision and land development application fees for the Gilmore property.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second, third, fourth.
Go ahead, what, Matt?
This is an administrative exercise for the board to waive the application fees for subdivision land development for a parcel that we are pursuing for conservation easement.
That the fees will be associated with the waiver of land development application, so since this will be conservation easement, in the past, we've still gone through the process, but we waive like we would on a small project, so I will still shepherd this to planning commission. I think with Matt, we talked about Matt will be there because the township will be kind of the equitable owner in this situation, so to speak. And then we will bring it in front of the board. The next meeting after that, probably the end of the summer. Well, end of summer, not too far away, but probably August, September, October. But my recommendation was for you to waive the fees and then we'll process that, still be a paper trail in your file as if any land development application came in, but you would actually be, obviously we're paying for our fees and they don't have an engineer to do this, so we'll be doing that. And that's part of the agreement with the Gilmores to preserve their land. So
I think it's well worth it considering the amount of property that we'll be preserving up there with, once this is done, so.
yeah, and just to, not to bore anybody with the engineering, but we're still following all the process, but there's ways we can cut corners a little bit. So with the waiver of land development, I don't have to show as much on the plans, and it's we're on the same page as preserving the land, and the less I spend, the less the taxpayers' money we're spending. So I like to do it all one meeting, get it done. We'll do a presentation, and it'll look to you like a lot line change or a minor subdivision. There won't be any other things on the plan. It'll be one sheet. So
All right,
try to reduce costs for the township.
very good.
And this does not relate to building permits and those sorts of things for subdivision, just for the subdivision and development process.
All right, very good. Any comments or questions from the board?
No.
All right, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carried. Next motion is motion J. I'll be taking a motion for the board to authorize advertisement of the 2022 road program for public bid per the attachments.
I'd make that motion.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Bill's having an issue with his. I have a first and a second. Are there any comments or questions, or should I just turn it? Do we? Go ahead, Matt.
This was
Off the rails.
This was presented to the board 2 weeks ago. We are recommending that 4 township roads be advertised and be included in the 2022 road program. Cedar Mill Road, Schoolhouse Road, Far View, and Naomi Lane. I don't know if any of you had a chance to ride or drive those roads. As one
Yes.
who traverses the Schoolhouse Road, that one is in dire need of repaving. Same with Cedar Hill. It's going to be an interesting bid, given the current situation with the costs of things. And so we are recommending to bid these 4 roads with expecting that we might not be in a position to actually be able to pave all 4 of them. This is not a decision to agree to the roads that we are repaving. This is authorizing staff to develop and advertise the bid to get the process moving. We can have a more informed and detailed discussion when it's up for approving the bid about whether or not, how the bids came in, whether or not the roads that we've included in this year should be repaved.
Can be afforded to be done.
Correct.
Because I did go drive both Naomi Lane and Fairview.
Fairview.
And I don't believe that they need to be paved. They're not in dire repair. They're quite fine. I did notice on the side of the roads that it looked like there was little humps, little ridges along the sides of the road. So because there is no stormwater in that area, it's literally just straight off the thing. I have a feeling that someone used asphalt. You call it asphalt. I call it bitumen. To do little humps along the sides to help direct water. And I'm assuming that that would not happen when we repave it unless we are out there with them, directing them to do that. So I feel we should really, when the bids come in, that we really discuss not paving those two
I
roads.
mean, actual bumps of asphalt just laid along the side of the road?
Little hills along certain parts of the road. So you're driving along and it's flat, and then you see a little ridge along one side and a little ridge along the other side in front of certain homes.
Help channel the water from the road down to an area where there is drainage.
But it's only like one house, lots of breaks, another house. It's not continuous. It's just in very small areas. So that's why I found it. I wondered if the homeowners did that. So, yeah,
It's always
Oh,
possible.
roll bituminous curve, but usually it's continuous. but
it's not continuous.
I will defer to Ryan, the public works. If it's your road, on private roads, I hear about a lot, that people just all do their own thing, but
Mhm.
it's a public road, so Ryan,
Yeah.
I'm sure is aware of, and he should be aware of, if they're gonna replace that, remove it.
Yeah, because it's not that tall, but you can tell that it would be there to direct some water.
Knowing Ryan, he's all over it.
Yeah.
Yep,
Mhm.
cool.
That's,
I
that's
can vouch for that in conversations that he and I have had. He is
Oh.
aware. And he has discussed it, making them put
Back on.
the roll curves back on.
Okay. It's a thing.
I don't know, I would have Ryan take a look at Marshall. What's the road like leading into Marshall Circle?
Glen Drive.
Oh my God, that's horrible.
But we're not looking
Horrible.
at roads with curbs and sidewalks.
Okay.
So
Yes,
that's why I think we should
That's
not do
caveat.
the Farview and Naomi. I think there are other roads that need more work sooner. And we just need to plan better and do those first. So,
Shameless plug for my paving plan.
yep,
Not to mention, we probably aren't going to be able to afford to do it.
Probably
Yeah.
not,
but we would get an idea of what it might cost next year.
but you also don't want to let a road go
To a certain point,
if you
yes.
have a chance to do it, especially considering curbs and sidewalk is going to be a multi-year.
That's where a good plan comes in.
Yeah,
Yeah, because we essentially
Multi-step
have to
plan.
budget for replacing everybody's curbs and sidewalks.
well, no, we don't.
Well, we have to budget
Yes,
because someone has to pay for it. And so if homeowners don't pay for it, we will pay for it and put a lien.
We have to front
So
the
good,
cost.
yeah, good budgeting is, we better be prepared for that.
Mhm.
I'm not saying we're going to pay for everybody. That's
Right.
not what I'm saying.
Yeah, we're the piggy bank first.
yeah. All right, so I have your first and second. Is there any other comments? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carried. That concludes the action items for this evening's meeting. We'll now move on to our information items. I don't see anything underneath any of them, so I guess we can call them done.
Maybe.
Well, I think that certain people showed up here tonight might want to be heard.
Mhm.
It was worth a try.
I'm-
Administration.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I just have a couple of things I'd like to talk about tonight. The preparations for the annual tri-municipal 4th of July parade are underway. The parade is scheduled to step off at 9:15 at the Giant in New Britain Borough and will make its way down Butler Ave to Main Street in Chalfont and then to North Branch Park located along Park Ave, right here. The Chalfont VFW post 3258 has recommended the following people for the parade marshals. I am proud to announce that for parade marshal will be Bill Fay, who's an Army veteran, member of VFW post 3258. And the junior parade marshal is Ella McFillin, St. Jude Catholic School state champion VFW Patriots pen contest. Pretty cool.
I know we're an administrative comment, administrative section. Don't we typically approve
Mhm.
through motion who is the
Yeah.
marshals and stuff like that?
You want to approve it?
I'm quite, I swear that's what we used to do. I mean, I don't know
I-
if Park and Rec, we did last year and
I don't think we knew at the well, we haven't had a park and rec in May, so the last park and rec we had was in April, and they had not been decided at that time. So our next park and rec meeting is tomorrow night.
right.
And then
So-
we'll have
I
another.
mean, is there any?
Did this
I
go?
don't-
Why don't, may I make a suggestion? Why doesn't the board just resolve to give the power to appoint to the Park and Rec Board tomorrow night so that whoever they choose is, you don't have to meet again between then and the 4th of July parade?
I mean, is there a reason why we have to approve them?
There you go.
So, I mean, that's my kind of my question.
I was only under the spirit of having to approve the menu from the Park and Rec that you already did.
Yeah.
I figured it was just something the board typically did.
We might want to have a passing comment on it, just because it represents the township
Yeah,
and
Right.
not, nothing against anyone recommended this year or whatever, but in the future, you never know.
Right.
So
Well, because it actually comes from the Veterans Committee. They,
Well,
From
From
one-
the VFW.
who
folks.
hasn't met since April either, so I've heard nothing about
Oh.
this.
Comes from the
Okay.
VFW.
It comes from the VFW.
Okay. Well, that's.
Hold it, the one comes from VFW.
Both
They-
They
recommendations
both
came from the
recommend.
VFW, since the essay writer was won the VFW Patriots Pen Contest.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
I'm fine with the recommendation, but I think we should,
We should continue to have a policy where we approve.
Yeah, I think we should approve it. I mean,
Yes.
they're
Okay.
going
Yeah.
to take part in the parade, they're going to be riding in cars and stuff like that. So,
Right.
fine. I'll make a motion to,
Well, we
Well,
have
the
to
motion to
amend,
amend.
we have to amend the agenda and add a motion that. Are we in uncharted territory here?
we have to make a motion to amend the agenda.
It's probably, to be safe, it wouldn't hurt.
All
I
right,
make a motion to amend the agenda for motion
okay,
K.
yes,
To approve
L.
the L,
Technically, Mike Sands was K.
Oh.
oh,
okay,
yeah.
L.
okay.
Action in order.
To amend the agenda to add another action item in the approval of the parade marshal and junior marshal.
Is there a second on the motion to amend the agenda to add action item motion L?
I second.
All right, I have a first and a second. Is there any other conversation or comments or questions regarding the
Motion to amend.
motion to amend? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carried. All right, this time we'll go back to action items. This is action item L. I'm looking for a motion for the board to authorize the approval of the VFW candidates for parade marshal and junior parade marshal.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
All right, and I have a first and a second. Are there any comments or questions?
This just came in this afternoon, which is why I'm bringing it up now, and excuse my ignorance from last year as I was on the job for 2 months.
Yeah, that's fine.
And it was typically a motion.
And to be clear, Mr. Chairman, that motion is to approve the candidates which were previously listed by Mr. West.
Correct. Yes. Okay.
Yes.
All right. So is there a motion?
Second.
There's a motion, there's a second.
You got.
All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
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 Motion
It
carried.
takes a village.
Yes. Sorry, Matt. It's
And the agenda will be updated and posted per the regulations of the
Gotcha.
new agenda.
yeehaw. Sorry there, Matt. Didn't mean to do that to you, but
What you did.
I did.
It's okay. No worries. New website is live. Hurrah, hurrah. I hope all of you have had a chance to interact with it. In the wild, we've had a couple of bumps along the way, having to do with renaming of the DNS server, but we've got that figured out. Thanks to Mike spending 3/4 of his day on the phone with IT support today and figured that out. I just want to, again, thank Mike Walsh for the amount of time that he put into the development of the site. It is a leap year ahead of what our site used to be, and we're really looking forward to continuing to build on it and make it that much better. Remember, it is a living, breathing thing, so the more we interact with it, I expect we will be getting it to the point where it's going to be even more responsive than it is. So thank you. Final draft of the township's capital improvement plan is underway by staff. We're looking to present that final draft at the next capital planning committee meeting on July 22nd. And then we're looking at hopefully making that presentation to the board in August. We are a little behind schedule because it was so comprehensive, but good things are coming out of the capital improvement committee, capital planning committee. And looking forward to having that discussion with the board in a couple of months. And that concludes my report.
All right, thank you. Are there any comments or questions for Matt in regards to his reports?
No, thank you, Michael, for your work on the website.
Thank you.
All right, next on the agenda is the departmental report.
So the departmental reports were included in the board packet. Don't know if any of the board has any comments or questions about any of them.
Any?
No, I have a comment, an idea that popped in my head and popped in. Cynthia's, I don't know if I should save it for supervisor, but we were just saying that we should have some sort of picture array with names attached to our police officers. Maybe even going as far as trading cards for the kids or something.
It's funny you bring that up. We are actually in the process of developing trading cards.
Wow, okay.
I've been waiting till after the parade because our photographer is heavily involved in the parade planning. So after the parade, however, we'll start taking pictures.
Okay.
The timing of the trading cards is actually best around when school starts again. So that we'll be doing a big kickoff then and when school session kicks off and creating some type of contest, to collect all the cards.
We should do a limited edition of the bike. Foil.
But I think maybe add to that would be to have photos of all of the staff and the police on our website so people can put a face to the name, including.
If that would be appropriate.
Or even just for the supervisors.
Sean's already gone.
There's, I mean, some departments do list the names of the individual officers, most do not.
Okay,
Most departments consider it an officer safety matter
Yeah.
to keep the roster, if not confidential, at least not on a publicly available website, but I leave that to the chief.
It's, yeah, I mean, I look at the police officers are public figures. Anybody just as the board, I mean, we're not elected, but we're appointed, by the board. So we are considered public figures, and that's why, like, everything we do here in this meeting with the police officers gets posted on our social media. So I'm not opposed to that. I mean, there is some concerns that will be brought up by particularly probably the PBA in regards to that, but I think that we're getting into where it's public knowledge. I mean, the officers and their names, are out there. And besides that, this is a small department where they consider to have themselves a very good relationship with the community. There should be no fear of them being publicly posted on social media.
And we actually, our new website actually lists the names and email addresses of our officers.
But no pictures. No pictures. I think a picture maybe should be an optional.
an optional thing, or even just in-house.
I'll leave it up to the chief
Yeah.
and the officers to decide because
Yeah.
it doesn't encompass safety issues, which I clearly understand, so.
Are you guys saying you both want a packet of the pictures, the cards, just for reference?
I like
Yeah,
trading cards.
because
yes.
I know the faces, but I don't know the names, so
Yeah.
I need those flashcards
Yeah.
to be able to learn the names.
Officer. There we go. Yes.
I wonder if the bike officer will put his own trading card in the spoke of the wheels. Anyway,
What is it with the bike?
because he's always around my neighborhood and all over there. He's always up the hill. I see him all the time. A giant.
Traffic stop.
Did he? He did say that getting up that hill up to the Giant Center is not easy, even with the powered bike.
Oh,
So,
up in front of St. Jude's. Is it
yes,
that hill?
yeah.
Okay.
So anyhow, are there any other departmental reports? Any other questions? I actually should say in regards to any of the departmental reports.
I've
No?
also included those in the SharePoint,
Mhm.
because the board have access to, so you don't have to go digging.
Gotcha. Thank you, Matt. Solicitors report.
In addition to the written solicitor's report, which you received or was submitted this afternoon, actually just highlighting a few topics there. I am working with the chief and the township manager on a draft of a updated towing ordinance for the board to consider. I submitted a draft a week or so ago. The chief did get me his comments on that on Friday, so we're going to incorporate those. And then we'll discuss them one more time, the three of us, and then hopefully we'll have a draft of that ordinance to present to the board sometime next month or the month after. We are in the process of reviewing your employee manual for your non-uniformed employee manual. That is a long process. I know Matt received a roster of questions and issues from us earlier today that he will start processing through it. So I just wanted to let you know that that was out there and that is working out. Also, I want to let you know that we did receive back, as we previously discussed, and I believe it was even on your agenda tonight, on the Gilmore property matter, we have received a commitment on the title insurance, so that issue has been taken care of.
Is there any movement on the conservation ordinance, rewriting that, or is that to be directed to the engineer?
That's something that we have to sit down with the engineer and go through. That's going to be a very painstaking and detailed process, so we haven't begun that yet. We'll probably need a bit more discussion and guidance from the board before we actually dig into that and get elbow deep in that problem, but that's on the horizon.
Did you say ordinance?
The ordinance.
We looked at draft agreement.
Right.
Which means that we sent a memo out on that.
But we were talking about the ordinance not being clear enough to enforce.
Which ordinance?
The zoning. Because we
That's gonna be-
treated this issue, it might not be the place to discuss it.
So as part of our, I was going to give an update on this, so I will
Okay.
as well.
All right, I'll defer to you.
My report is done. So
I was gonna dance around some stuff because we got, some of it's related to other projects that are ongoing, which, and I had a news flat. The packets are public now, right? So management reports in there.
No, those two reports are not included.
So the property, some of the properties we're working on, and then it ties into other litigation where we had some issues. We're going to incorporate that into, and we talked about staff level with Matt. We're incorporating our changes to the zoning, Saldo, and stormwater update. So it will not be an omnibus. In fact, Janine started listing off, I think I talked to Matt last week for an hour. He fell asleep, I fell asleep. It's a lot of small changes. We'll organize them for you. We'll present them. It's going to be not a one-shot thing. So it's really just making sure things match up. We'll focus on conservation. We're also focused on stormwater, and then things like the traffic study is in, and there's a traffic planner in the house here. I don't like that zoning. It's zoning. Like if someone doesn't do a traffic study, they have to do a zoning hearing for it. Now that's, I think, kind of how it was done over the years, but I would like to see that in Saldo. And so I'll be asking questions like that. And also natural resource protection standards. I like to have them in zoning for single family homes and building permits and things that you never see, but I'd like to have them in Saldo as well. So if there's a subdivision land development application you're going to consider, I'd like to have a little more input from you, and we can waive things in exchange, just like you do on waivers for land development road improvements, where if they do a credit, that you have more flexibility with protecting natural resources, doing mitigation plans and things like that. But if we have it all in zoning, you have zero control, and you have to immerse, no offense to the hearing board, but we're a lot deeper into it. I'm not up there representing the township unless we're opposed to usually solicitor goes. So I'm not saying Matt agrees or Sean agrees. I'm saying that's some of my ideas and Janine. So we're putting a memo together. Probably be done at the end of July. It's very lengthy. Janine's kept it for years. I've added to it. So we'll work on it internally over the summer, and then maybe in the fall, September, October, start getting in front of you and the planning commission.
It's just one of those things that links into my next core areas policy and how our existing policy that we use to interpret and manage processes as Craig just eloquently explained, some things that are in zoning that should be in Saldo and vice versa. Now is the time to redesign it and refocus it, and it would really benefit the staff that interact with it on a daily basis.
And I'm not recommending, some townships, and I've done, I think I probably did your last one in the 2000s of your Saldo. We had a committee and we went through that. I think Carol Bigham was the acting manager at the time, and I sat in that back room with everybody, and John Rice at the time. We went through, chapter after chapter after chapter. I'm not recommending that. We're going to try to clean some things up, add to it, make it more user friendly. And honestly, I want a little more of the stuff to be in front of you and not zoning hearing board. And that's going to be up to the solicitor to say, yeah, we could do that, or we can't. But as you're seeing land development, conservation easements, all these restrictions, water and sewer now is getting more complicated. I'd rather have that in Saldo and not zoning. It's just, there's too much in there that is engineering or planning, that it's not just black and white zoning.
I agree.
So that's my first part of my, I think the other, and I submitted our report for June at the beginning of the month, and we went through that at their last meeting. The update to my report, Planning Commission will be meeting June 28th. We have 3 projects on there: 700 Manor Drive. That's a worldwide stereo. I think it's the corporate office and warehouse and office, 60,000 square feet on Manor Drive. 267 Creek Road, it's a lot line change. And then 396 King Road is a 7-lot subdivision to sketch plan only. I don't think we'll end up at that number, but that's where we're coming. I think we have a staff meeting tomorrow, or Matt and I have a call tomorrow with the applicant. There's been other developers looking at that and not at that number. That's the King's Nursery. And it's pretty wet, and I think they're gonna have some issues with I'm not sure if they're gonna have the public sewer or not. We'll find out tomorrow.
And doesn't it over 2 different zoning areas also?
That's actually, it's funny that's not even really, it's 1.8 acre versus 2, so you just round off the 2. They're split zoning on that one, watershed and SR2. The other developers that have called me just said, I'll just take the worst case scenario. It's not worth the 15-foot setback versus 20, front yards 50 instead of 20. They know you're gonna ask for the more restrictive, right? So I think the other developers came in with like 4 to 6 lots, and they didn't proceed because of water and sewer issues. It's very wet property. I think anybody knows that area. So we're looking at cul-de-sac, but it's only a sketch plan, so I appreciate getting input, and then we'll bring it in front of you. Manor Drive, the worldwide stereo, is a very large building, but it's kind of built out all around there, so I'm not sure what issues we'll have. We have a traffic study, but I don't see much improvements. You have County Line Road is already done with PennDOT. We may look at Schoolhouse Road again, 202.
They can't go up to the industrial park? They can't find anything up there?
It's actually JG Petrucci is the applicant, I believe. So they're going to run it through the land of all.
I mean, we have office, medical there. I mean, this is not gonna be a warehouse office, what it sounds like. So,
The one caveat with that is that's a business campus. So you have a good business campus. Ryan's gonna learn a lot on this one. There's a business campus use that lists uses that you're allowed. And they're doing office and they're doing warehouse, and you can do each one as a separate use, but together that's flex space. And that use is not listed in the business campus. But you can go elsewhere in the zoning district and do it, but under business campus, if anybody, Bill maybe remembers this, you only wanted so many certain uses in the business campus. So I'm not sure if that was just the oversight on all our parts where we have individual uses, but a flex space or combined has a different use destination. So you can do office, you can do this, but you start putting all these together, you get contractors, you get other types of uses, which I think is where you're going. So they might be going to zoning hearing board, but we have to work that out. But I don't see a lot of the hurdles. It's a big rectangular building with a lot of parking, and sketch plan that I reviewed, which Janine doesn't have a lot of issues.
Are they planning on running tractor trailers?
That's gonna be a bigger issue. Yeah, I would assume so. I didn't look at that part of it.
Yeah,
I'm gonna say traffic will probably be the biggest circulation.
small road.
You don't want to have trucks up there, right?
No, no trucks on there. Wow, I mean, they go into the back of
Deliveries,
Giant, that's about it.
But they don't go in through Manor Drive, they come off.
No, quite a few of them go.
Really?
I've seen in the morning, trust me, I've run past tractor trailers going to Giant in the morning.
Yeah, but I didn't know they came in from the back.
Yeah, sometimes they do. I don't know if maybe the driver got lost, but yeah, they go in that way.
So I think that traffic probably an issue, stormwater management, I don't think will be, I think there's plenty of parking, but I don't have that really memorized, but those are 3 projects that we on the June 28th planning commission. And that's all I have, Mr. Chairman.
Gotcha. All right, thank you very much. Is there any any other questions in regards to the engineer's report? Sensing none, Board of Supervisors comments.
I have none.
All right,
Other than the trading cards, I have none.
all right, very good. Prior to adjournment, I am going to inform the board that we need to meet in an executive session for 5 quick minutes after this meeting to discuss personnel. And other than that, I can proceed now, correct? All right. So prior to adjournment, I will make the following announcement. The next meeting of the Board of Supervisors of New Britain Township will take place on Monday, July 11th, 2022 at 7 p.m. here at the New Britain Township Building. The agenda and meeting materials will be posted to the Township website prior to the meeting date at newbritontownship.org. As well, the recording of this meeting, if anyone is interested, will be available on our YouTube channel within the next 24 to 36 hours. Thank you all very much. And now I will take a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carried. Very good. Thank you all.
Thank you. I'm just gonna ask you a quick question.